guys, welcome back. I'm gonna get started on some asks. I do have a little bit less to talk about this week. I'm going to try and do an analysis of the good, the bad, and the ugly before the end of the week. As of the recording of this, I've not watched it yet, but I'm gonna try to watch it either today or tomorrow. And I had another video. I was gonna do an analysis of one of the music videos that Norman is in, and I was like trying to record part of it, but YouTube was not having any of that and was telling me that I was using copyrighted material and therefore it would be repressed. So I may still do that, but I've got to redo the video a little bit. So if I have time, I'll get that out this week. If not, I'll do it next week. But like I said, I have fewer asks, so a little bit less to talk about. It's getting closer, the premiere of the season, but also some of the initial excitement after San Diego Comic-Con has died down. So yeah, just keep sending me asks and I will do as much as I can until then. So let's hop in. This ask came in a few weeks ago and I accidentally deleted it. Thankfully, I had sent it to my fellow theorists to get their opinions on it. So I still had a copy of it, even though I accidentally deleted it. So to whoever sent it in, I'm sorry it took so long to answer it. I had to go find it. Emily posted an image on Instagram, so several weeks ago, where you can see her desktop in the background. If you zoom in, one of the files is a video of her in the thumbnail titled TWD Brazil, Emily Kinney MP4. What could that mean? So let me show you guys a picture of what this looks like. It is right here. So it's really small to see. I wonder if I can zoom in on this. Hold on. I can. Look at that. TWD Brazil, Emily Kinney MP4. Honestly, I don't really know what it means. I looked up, I did some Googling and to see if there was any kind of link between Emily and Brazil. And it said there really wasn't, as far as it knows. She doesn't travel there extensively. She hasn't done any filming there. She does have a pretty big fan base there. I asked my fellow theorists. They didn't really know either. So we don't really have anything concrete on this. The fact that it says MP4, I mean, there's quite a few accounts that are like Emily Kinney Brazil. So maybe this is some sort of video that she put on a particular account, or if there's a TWD Brazil account, maybe she's saving things from it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And if we could see what the video was a little bit better, maybe we could answer that a little bit better. But I unfortunately, I wasn't able to come up with anything really concrete about this. So I wish I had a better answer, but I just don't know. Nothing's coming up when I try to research it. So I don't think that it's necessarily a big deal, not necessarily a TD thing. Maybe just something she's saving on her computer under a certain name. But I don't know. If we'll have to keep an eye on things, and if it pops up again or anything suspicious relating to it, then maybe we can revisit it. But thank you for sending that in. Okay, do you think Beth wound up in Spain by the same ship that got Daryl to France? It's been a while since I watched DDS1, but didn't Daryl get taken on a boat that exploded and then he drifted to France? Yes, he did. Do you think Beth was on the same boat but somehow ended up in Spain instead? I mean, it's possible. I can't really say no because we don't know. It's definitely possible. My way of thinking is not necessarily that she was on the same ship or the same voyage he was on, but whatever group or organization owned that ship and put Daryl and everyone else on it and was taking them over to Europe, I think that she could be with that organization or part of that organization. So maybe they were kind of both kidnapped by the same organization or something. I mean, I think there's a tie there, but I don't necessarily think that when he was on the boat that she was also on that boat somewhere. Again, it's possible. It could be, but I think of it more as that there will be a tie between, whoever put him on the boat and the organization that she's with. But we don't know for sure, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think you're barking up the right tree there. I think that there is a tie. So thanks for sending that in. All right, this is a longer one. Obadella 2. So I found this article, which has some very interesting tidbits in it. Really strange site, but really interesting tidbits in it regarding what we are going to see in season 3. Season 3 picks back up with Daryl and Carol's journey, bringing them to new communities, and writers plan deeper exploration of Daryl's guilt and emotional growth, revisiting themes of regret and redemption tied to Isabel and other fallen characters. It's designed to respect her memory, not gloss over it. Isabel's death wasn't just a plot point, it was a relationship cut short and a bond betrayed. Fans reacted with frustration because the writing didn't honor her potential or emotional weight in Daryl's arc. Now, with the story circling back, The Walking Dead acknowledges that fans deserved a richer, more complete emotional portrait, not just a sensational moment. So I know they're talking about Isabel here, but literally everything could refer to Beth in this. It's so on the nose and on point. This combined with the fact that Daryl's storyline this season is about rescuing a girl who has been taken, ugh, chasing Grady cops, anyone, seems to be pointing to something. There are so many themes that are all colliding at once now. I don't know if we get a Beth reunion this season, but I do think we will finally get him talking about her. It's to the point that if he doesn't talk about her this season, I think she might not be coming back. But if he finally does, she 100% is coming back. Yeah, so I read this too, and I agree. I want to say that some of what they're saying here isn't necessarily reflective of, so maybe I should just go more granular from the beginning. It's interesting that they say fans reacted with frustration because the writing didn't honor her potential or emotional arc or emotional weight in Daryl's arc. Now, on the one hand, I want to say that that is commentary by the person who is writing the article, and also probably reflective of what the fans actually said about it, not necessarily what the powers that be are saying. I don't think that personally that the writing dishonored uh, Isabel's potential or her emotional weight for Daryl at all. I do think that we'll see more of that, you know, like they're saying that we're going to revisit that and how upset he was by it and everything. So it could be that they just didn't delve very deeply into the emotion in season 2. That I could get behind. But the fact that it says the writing didn't honor it, to me, that sounds like commentary rather than truth, right? But on the other hand, to what you're saying is that it almost feels like they could be talking about someone other than Isabel here. And if that's the case, then I can actually see the powers that be feeding this line to the article writer. I don't, I can't say for sure that this is untrue, but I don't feel like there was anywhere near as big a backlash with Isabel as there was with Beth. So there are probably a few fans who said this, and there have been plenty of fans over the years who have voiced that they want Daryl to get his happy ending, not just have a relationship that then dies on him 6 episodes later or whatever. So that's definitely true. But yeah, I agree. The fact that they're talking about her potential, I didn't feel like there was a whole ton of potential for Isabel. I mean, you know, of course there is with any given person, any given character, but it wasn't like Beth where they set up all this stuff and then didn't deliver on it. That definitely feels like it relates to Beth more than it does to Isabel. And then the emotional weight, at least based on what we saw, we did see him being sad about it. We did see him grieving. We did see him talking to Carol about Isabel a little bit, but we did not see anywhere near the amount of emotional distress and despair that we saw from him in season 5 after he lost Beth. So that's all just to say I completely agree with you. I do think it's interesting that they are going to do a deeper exploration of Daryl's guilt and emotional growth, revisiting themes of regret and redemption tied to Isabel and other fallen characters. I'm sure they will mention Isabel, but again, it was such, I don't want to say small, it really wasn't small, but it compared to other things, compared to his guilt, obviously, and his regret about Beth, but also about Andrea and about Tyrese and about Glenn. Good heavens, like it was nothing compared to that. So I think that they're very much couching this in the character of Isabel, and I'm sure that they will mention her because this is the most recent for him in the show. But I feel like I do agree. I think that they were going to explore things that are going to touch on other characters they've lost, and the same would be true of Carol. I mean, maybe we will get more about Sophia, but also because she grappled with that in season 2, maybe that'll be a jumping off point for her and she'll talk about some of the other children like Sam and Lizzie and Mika and Henry. I mean, to this day, we have not really seen her talk about Lizzie and Mika to anybody. They mentioned it very, very briefly in Consumed, but they didn't really talk about it. It was a quick mention and a let's not talk about that kind of thing. So I think this could be true of both of them. And I really hope, honestly, for both arcs, for both characters, I would love to see them explore their feelings and what they've been burying and what they've been bottling up for other characters they've lost. And, you know, let's not forget Rick. I mean, Daryl lost Rick in a big way. They both did, but Daryl had the biggest reaction to it. He was searching for Rick for so long. But we also have Carol, who was observing that. She was the only one that we saw in that episode coming to the river to see him, right? So you can see that they've set this up, and there's really not anyone else that they are going to talk to about these things except each other. So yeah, I do feel like that you're right, and that we're going to get a lot of that in season 3. I really, really hope so. Because like I said, I want it for all of these characters, but of course, most of all, yes, I want it for Beth, and I want them to talk about her. So I hope you're right. I think you're right. I've had a few people send me this article, and when I read it, I interpreted it exactly the same way. Let's see, anything else that I need to address here? And yeah, the storyline about him rescuing a girl, that's pretty on the nose, right? Um, yeah, I like how you said that. There are so many themes that are colliding all at once now. Yeah, whew, let's hope so. Let's get that collision going. Yeah, so I agree. So yeah, thanks for sending that in. Very interesting article, and it does feel like they are hinting at things without, they're like trying not to say too much. So totally agree. Thank you. If Beth doesn't appear in S3 or S4 of the Daryl Dixon spinoff, do you think there will still be hope for her return? I mean, I don't want to say no, but also kind of no. I mean, but I'm not at all not hopeful of her return. As I always say, the Daryl Dixon spinoff is about him finding his happy ending. So if that happy ending really ends up being someone else, then maybe at that point I'll be convinced she isn't coming back. But I really don't think that's going to happen. I mean, with everything that's been happening lately, with everything they've said, with everything they've done, with all the suspiciousness from San Diego Comic-Con, I mean, how could it be anything else? I just don't see it. So, like I always say, we will know one way or the other by the end of Daryl Dixon, by the end of the spinoff, right? Which could be season 3 or season 4, but I'm not at all worried about this. I think we're going to see her, or even if it's just a little bit, we're going to know that it is her, that she is his happy ending by the end of the spinoff, which will either be this season or next season. So that's what I have to say about that. I'm just not worried about it at all. Thank you for sending that in. All right. Wow, you're still going. Yes, I am. It's been years since I last read what TDers are up to, but I was checking out the Daryl Dixon spinoff, and I thought to search old blogs I was following. I admire the dedication, really, even if I personally believe now that it's not happening. I think they've done away with the cut footage and scrapped the idea of Beth returning a long time ago. I'm past believing that the creators ever saw her as a relevant enough character to bring back to the show, too. The most I can allow myself to hope for is maybe a small Beth mention in the last seasons of Daryl Dixon, like the Merle callback at the start of the spinoff, but even that, I think, would be a snowball's chance. Bethyl still remains one of my first and most treasured ships, and I don't think that one would ever change, would ever change, as I've recently read a fic about them, and every time the feelings for the ship are still there for me. It's like the ship just hibernates in my brain for a while and then comes back full force on a random day. Haha. I think that happens for all of us, yeah. I've joined and written for a lot of other fandoms ever since, and maybe I'd write my own Bethyl fiction exploring the in-universe possibilities for them based on theories of people throughout the years once the Daryl Dixon spinoff concludes, just to see where Daryl ends up in his own series. Thank you very much for your blog. I hope you don't delete it eventually. I won't. I appreciate a lot of your analysis and thoughts on the ship all these years. It was a big part of my fandom experience when I was younger, and I can only think back on it fondly with a happy heart. Thank you. I'm glad. In terms of what you said, I think my opinion is that, I mean, these are all things that I've mentioned before. I think if they really had scrapped the cut footage, we would have seen it by now. And Emily would be off doing other shows, bigger roles, other things. And I think we've proven too that they were foreshadowing what would happen at Grady long before it happened, which means she wasn't seen as a small character or an irrelevant character. Like they were planning that for a long time. And so the only thing that we really are waiting for now is the payoff. But I am glad that you still remember the ship fondly and that there are still really good fics out there that you can read. And yeah, I have no plans to delete my blog ever. I mean, I guess if the internet goes away or Tumblr goes away or something, then maybe, but the videos are on YouTube too. So a lot of things have to go away for it to go away, but I'm not planning to delete it. So I'm just glad that you have fondness for it. And hopefully in this season or the next of Daryl Dixon, you'll be pleasantly surprised when she returns. So thank you for sending that in. I'm glad to hear from you. Rogue Ostrich, I've heard you mention before that Aaron is a Beth proxy. I've been wondering how. Obviously, I agree with you, but I'm wondering what makes you say that. So it's not any one thing. It's quite the long line of ways in which he was paralleled with Beth. So and he's been paralleled with a lot of people. I actually think he's a big parallel to Rick as well. But he always had more of the optimism, more of the um, hope that Beth had, which is why he was a good friend for Daryl, you know, when Daryl was in such a dark place in season 5. But I mean, it started right in season 5, the fact that he showed up and said, I have good news. The Christian gospel, the word gospel means good news. And in Christian circles, in, you know, the Christian religion, that's a concept that is taught, that the gospel means good news. So just him showing up and saying that makes him a Christ figure. And Beth was like the ultimate Christ figure, right? Um, there have been so many ways in so many arcs on so many episodes that we've been like, okay, there it is. Aaron's a Beth parallel, and I'm not going to even remotely be able to remember them all off the top of my head. In some of the later episodes of the flagship show, there was stuff between Aaron and Negan where they would end up together in a cabin, that sort of thing. And I know that we saw them there because in a very general way, they were paralleling Beth and Daryl, even though clearly that wasn't a romantic thing. They ended up in a cabin. There was greenery everywhere. I remember there were diamonds on the wall, so we were just jumping all over that as an alone parallel. Even when he's out with Father Gabriel, we see a lot of parallels there. So just always think about how Aaron is either an optimist, having a lot of faith in things, which is his personality, or how he is a Christ figure, you know, that sort of things. That's how we see him as a Beth parallel. Beyond that, I would have to go into individual instances. Oh, one that was really big was at the end of, or no, not the end, the middle of season 7, when we saw the character that we called Boots for a long time because she had a lot of Beth symbolism around her. Right before that was when we saw Aaron and Rick trying to get the supplies from the houseboat. That had a ton of still and alone and Bethyl symbolism in it. So in that case, I do think that he was a Beth parallel. And my theory back then, which I still cannot say whether it's true or not because Beth hasn't returned, we won't know until she does. I felt like Aaron represented Beth and Rick represented himself in some future story arc where they basically get separated and then meet up again, you know? But because we haven't seen Beth, and certainly Rick hasn't really met up with anyone other than Michonne, and then, you know, the kids at the end, I can't say for sure whether that's true or not, but anyway, so lots of theories like that. You just kind of have to go episode by episode. If you have a particular episode you want me to kind of deconstruct for you and analyze, I'm happy to do that. Just send me which one that you want to talk about and I will do that. But just know that he's very, very often a Beth proxy in any given situation. So I hope that helps, even though it's a little bit vague. All right, you guys, that's all I have for now. Like I said, I will try to get back with at least one more video before the end of the week. And yeah, I will just talk to you then. Happy TDing until then. Bye.